सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्म प्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम् ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ गं गणपतये नमः. We can also chant the invocatory prayers for the two texts. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So please excuse me 1 minute. I had it ready and then suddenly I don't have it in the phone. I'm just getting it because it is a question from the class last week. So let me see if I can find it. The second one I can answer, and maybe Neeru can send the question to me. The second, there was two questions, and the second one was regarding the dream state that I had talked about. So the second question was, you mentioned that the waking world is a long drawn out dream. So when we are having a common experience, for example, all of us are listening to your class, whose dream is that? Is our common experience considered to be happening within God's dream? Very interesting question. So this, as I said, this waking state is considered a long drawn out dream. But when we are living in this dream and we are ignorant to the dream, when we don't know it as a dream, then it is our dream only. It is our dream only. It is not Ishvara's dream. When we recognize that Ishvara, the Lord, and I are one, then my dream becomes non-separate from Ishvara's dream. So Ishvara, this whole Jagat is considered as Ishvara's dream, actually. My dream, I'm also dreaming, but I don't know it. For me, it's reality. I don't know that's a dream, so it's a reality for me. So while it's a reality, it is not, I cannot fake it and say it is just a dream. It is very much satyam for me. I suffer in this world, I think is very, very real. So there is ultimately, once the recognition is there, and this sounds really, it sounds really paradoxical. When I wake up, actually, I realize this is a dream. When I wake up in the form of knowledge, it's not when we go to sleep. So in the, in the experiences we know, when we go to sleep, we start dreaming. Here we're saying, when I wake up with knowledge, then I recognize this is a dream that I'm living in right now. But at the moment, it is a reality. So I cannot say it is God's dream because I don't know it yet. When I know God, I will know that this is his dream. So the whole pursuit in life is to know God, to recognize God and yourself as non-separate, intrinsically non-separate, essentially. So I hope that answers. Uh, yeah, this is the first question. Even after having fourfold qualifications, one needs Ishwara's anugraha, which is Ishwara's grace, to make enlightenment possible in life. How does one get that anugraha? So that is a very, I will put it succinctly, but we will see it when we progress through the text. There are two ways that our scriptures say that Ishwara's grace can be earned. The first way is called ishta karma. Ishta karma means certain actions in the form of worship, prayer, puja, all of this depending on the culture, depending on the background you're from. As I said, if he is the Lord, he understands all languages. So it is not only chanting in Sanskrit. It can be in any language, any background you come from. But the prayer, the worship, and actually spending time to think of the Lord invokes grace from that potential. I call him potential power, potential grace. So you tap the grace through Ishta Karma. The second way that the scriptures say you can gain the grace is through Purta Karma. Purta Karma are reaching out activities, are activities, charitable actions, thinking of more than yourself, thinking of more than you and yours. So I have to grow out of I and mine, because even if I say mine, that is still, my I is invested in mine. So the family and all of this considered mine, loved ones considered mine. Purta karma does not really mean doing only seva to your loved ones. It means reaching out to society, reaching out to community, reaching out to the whole jagat. So that invokes a lot of grace of Ishvara, Purta karma. So these are the two, that our Shastra talks about. And anything that is in this way, you use to invoke grace, that is, and you do in this way, invokes Bhagwan's grace. So we are on our Tattvabodha Vivekacudamani, and we were seeing, what were we seeing? Very interesting qualifications. These fourfold qualifications, in fact, they become 9 because the author of the text has inserted 6 into the third qualification. And we will see why it makes more sense, because the 6 are to do with your mind, to do with your internal growth. So for any knowledge to take place, you need 2 things. There are 2 prerequisites for any knowledge to take place. By now, it should be clear that we need knowledge, because it's a question of ignorance and a question of self-ignorance. And what is opposed to self-ignorance? It is self-knowledge. So this should be clear by now, that what we are seeking is self-knowledge. And for any knowledge, not just self-knowledge, 2 prerequisites are there. One is means of knowledge, and one is mental preparation for knowledge. So let me give you an example. Suppose you have, means of knowledge available. Like you are born in a family, your father is a physics professor, and your mother is also into science, and you are surrounded by all the books that you need for the study. But you are only 5 years old, and your father is trying to explain E equals mc squared to you. Now, can that 5-year-old pick up E equals mc squared? If it is some kind of vibhuti, some kind of prodigy, definitely it could. We don't say it can't. But generally, babies don't understand E equals mc squared. In fact, most adults don't understand E equals mc squared. So the means of knowledge is there. It is available to you. Books are available. The teaching is available, but mental preparation is not there. Then what? Knowledge cannot take place. Then you have the opposite scenario where you have the mental preparation, but you don't have means of knowledge. There are many people who are very, very intelligent, but they don't have a chance to go to school. They don't have a chance to go to college. They don't have the means to gain the knowledge, but mentally they are intelligent. So in that scenario also, knowledge cannot take place. Here, it is the same way. In this self-knowledge, our acharyas have seen it is the same way. The means of knowledge is available through the words of Vedānta. The teaching is available through the teachers. There are many teachers who teach the same subject. And many teachers communicate very clearly. So the means of knowledge and the books all are available. But why is knowledge not taking place? So it is the preparation. The mental preparation is not there. That is why knowledge doesn't take place. So that is why the values, the values and all the qualifications are very much emphasized throughout all the texts that you will see in Vedanta. And these particular texts discuss the values to a certain depth as well. So we saw Ado nityānityavastuvivekaḥ pariganyate ihamutra phalabhoga viragas tad anantaram shamadhi shatka sampattir mumukshatam iti sputam. So we know the qualifications, the ability to do discriminative analysis between what is real, what is timeless, and what is passing, what is ephemeral, transient. And next, he says, comes, spirit of detachment, the dispassion. Let's use the word dispassion better than detachment, from the enjoyment of the karma phalam, fruits of actions here in this world. And he also includes the world after this world, hereafter. So in Tattvabodha and Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ, this hereafter, enjoyments in the hereafter is also brought in. Hereafter, then the group of six wealth of the mind, six essentials like Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, that is mentioned. And then we saw a burning desire for liberation. So these qualifications are like entrance exams. Entrance exam for what? You're entering into the study of Vedanta. You're entering into the self-knowledge study. And we're not saying if you don't have these qualifications, you can't enter the study. The qualifications grow along with the study. So even if you have qualifications to a limited extent, we can still absorb the knowledge. But along the way, along the Shravanam, with the listening of the words, we try and pick up extra qualifications. So this requires honesty, and I have to assess myself. Am I lacking in any of these? And as I said, if one finds oneself lacking, we have to lift ourselves up by ourselves. No one else can lift us up. That is what Bhagavan says. Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ verse, Adi Shankaracharya also said that Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, lift yourself up by yourself. Use your free will, use all your talents and skills, and discover the real meaning of your life here on this planet. So the first qualification, he says, nitya, in the Tattvabodha, nityānityavastuvivekaḥ, nityavastvekaṁ brahma, tadvyatiriktaṁ sarvamanityam, ayameva nityānityavastuvivekaḥ. And I've connected to 20th verse. I will again post the verses for this week to the group. You can make a note. 20th verse of Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ. There Adi Shankaracharya says, Brahma satyaṁ jaganmithyetyevaṁrūpo viniścayaḥ, soyam nityānityavastuvivekaḥ samudāhṛtaḥ. Firm conviction of the intellect, of the discriminative capacity that Brahman alone is real. And the phenomenal world, this phenomenal universe is dependently real. It is mithya. The word for dependent reality in the scriptures is mithya. And this, he says, this is known as a discriminative analysis between the real and the dependent reality. So both of the verses speak like this. I'm just giving the translation of the Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ verse, but we will see we'll see it in more depth. So this is the discriminative analysis between what is eternal, what is timeless, and what is ephemeral, what is transient. What is permanent, the Shastra gives a name as Brahman. So there are many, many names you can give it. You know, we should not get confused with names. Sanskrit, there are umpteen names for one thing in Sanskrit. That's the uniqueness of Sanskrit. Because the language points to the attributes and the characteristics of the thing that you're describing. There is no other language like that. So for air or for Agni, you know, for Agni, fire, there are around 63, 65 words to describe fire. For air, there are like 60 plus words, Vayu. Amazing, because the Sanskrit language describes that element or describes that object in different terms. So Brahman is one of the words. You can call it God, you can call it anything. The word is not important. The meaning is important. And that meaning is timelessness. That meaning is permanence. And that is revealed in the Vedānta scriptures. So Viveka happens, or Viveka should be done using your intellectual capacity to understand where two things are mixed up. One thing is mistaken for another. That is what is called Vivekaha. Vivekaha is clearing the confusion between two things in particular. It comes from the Sanskrit root vivich, pritak karane, to separate. Vivich, pritak karane means you may not see too clearly. It may look like one. So the separation, the mix-up, may have to be separated cognitively. It is cognitive separation, actually. When two things are mixed up, difficult to see them apart, you have to separate those two cognitively in your mind, which means you may not physically be able to make them separate. Here is the understanding. This is the same thing with self-knowledge. This is how I discover that this world is anitya. It is fleeting. It is the nature of coming and going, but there is one that is timeless truth. And that timeless truth is that I, that you are. This is the revelation of the scriptures. So let me give you an example of two things we separate cognitively. Suppose there's an actor, you know, you're playing a role in a film or a movie or a drama or something, and the actor is playing the role of a monkey. Now, can I separate that monkey role from the actor? No, if the actor is playing the role of the monkey, I can't rip the costume off and saying, hey, you're not the monkey, you're the actor. It is not that. But cognitively, what do I know? I recognize, even though the actor is playing the role of the monkey, I recognize that he is not a monkey. I still enjoy the monkey role, but I recognize in my mind that actor is the actor, is not a monkey. Same idea, salt and water. When you mix salt and water, can you see the mix-up? It's not evident to you. It is mixed up. But when you taste it, you know it is salty. You know there's salt in it when you taste it. So even if you see the same glass with the water, you know cognitively that water has salt. You know, there's a divine Hamsa, divine swan. Many of you may know this. Why swan is used as a symbol of Viveka is because it is supposed to have the ability to separate milk and water, because it has a special thing in its beak. So there's a special, and this is a divine bird. We call it Hamsa. It's not ordinary swan, but it can separate milk and water. So through inquiry, through the analysis, this Viveka is done. But there are two levels of Viveka, actually. More than two, sorry, three levels. I am introducing these three levels. Before, you know, you do the nityānityavastuvivekaḥ, there's good to do other Vivekaḥ, discriminative analysis, which will help you to do that. So first of all, the first Viveka I have brought in here is that vichara leading to Viveka. So let me make clear, there are these words. Vichara means a general inquiry into something, general inquiry into God. When you do vichara into God, atma vichara, you know, inquiry into the self, that's a general word for inquiry. Viveka is very specific. It's between two things. So here in the first level of Viveka, I start with the vichara, I start with general inquiry, but then it leads to discriminative analysis. What is the general inquiry in life? It's called purushartha vivekaha. We have heard this word as well, purushartha. Purushena artyate iti purushartha. That which is sought by all living human beings is purushartha. So how do I do this, Vivekaha? By seeing what I really want in life. So we know that Chaturvida Purushartha, the Shastra broadly classifies our goals in life, our movements in life, our actions in life into 4 headings, which is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So dharma being ethical, living a life of ethical actions, or living a life charitable, giving, all of that included in dharma. And then artha, the need for security. I go for securities in life. I seek securities. Then pleasures. From the securities I gain in life, whether financial, relationship security, anyway, I enjoy pleasures, which is kama, the 3rd purushartha. And finally, there's a 4th classification, which we heard is moksha. But moksha, we understand as what? Moksha is the one purushartha actually that we are all seeking. This is when we do vichara here, we understand what is it I'm looking for through all the activities I do in life. That should be very clear after first few classes. I am looking only to be free from sorrow and positively seen. I am looking only for happiness 24/7. It is very clear all our actions are based on these 2 ways of looking at what we want, either freedom from being sorrowful or wanting to be happy 24/7. And that is moksha. So the Purushartha, vichara leading to Vivekaha, I don't want anything which is impermanent, what is going to go, because the permanent thing that's been unfolded, understood by me, assimilated by me, is only the one moksha, the desire to be free from all limitations, all sorrow, all things I don't want in life. So that is the first Viveka. That Viveka should lead to dharma, adharma Vivekaha, which is between what is the right thing to do in life and what is not right to do in life. Why should it lead to this? Why should the Purushartha Viveka lead to this? Because you recognize by living an unethical life, by living against the dharma, the harmony of the universe, going against that, there is no chance of discovering this freedom from sorrow, freedom from limitation. It is very clear because we have seen that the scriptures unfold that by leading an unethical life, you will only create conflict in your mind. You will not be able to get that mind required to discover moksha. So dharma, adharma, vivekaha becomes very important in this pursuit, spiritual pursuit, understanding what it is that is the right thing to do in the right in the right time, right place, right with the right people. What is the right thing to do? And this secret to doing, this is a secret. Once this you do live this ethical life, you will naturally gain the mind required for this nitya anitya vastu vivekaha. Swamiji used to say, real emotional maturity is not seeing how much you gain in doing the right thing. It is in understanding how much you lose in doing the wrong thing. Very beautifully said. It is not seeing the gain, because when you tell children, do this, do that, you'll have this, have that, they're not so for doing that action. They will always rebel when you say do. But when you say in the way, if you don't do this, it will create internal conflict in you, which will give you disturbance of mind. If you explain what it is to transgress dharma and what our shastra unfolds as the consequence of transgressing dharma, definitely everybody will gear themselves toward doing the right thing, because nobody wants conflicted mind, nobody wants disturbed thinking. So a value-filled life becomes important in the pursuit. Then finally, as this text and Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ describes nitya anitya vastu vivekaha, the final viveka is now ready to be done. What is this? So first we have to understand what is anitya. Anitya means time-bound, that which is always changing, that which is never permanent, fluctuating, dynamic. This is called anitya. If you need to see help, there's three things that are very useful to see. If you need to see, you have help to see what is anitya in life. I call it the anitya test, anityam test. So you can do this test with your experiences and objects in your life. So first question you can ask yourself, is it anitya? If it was there before, now not here, it is anitya. Okay? If it was there before, now not here, it is anitya, which we can lump a lot of things have been in our past and they're not here right now. Then those things are anitya. Then the second thing, if it is now here, it was not there before, it is anitya. So now I have something, but it was not there before, then what? It has come to me in time. It is called anitya. It is temporary. It is going to go. If anything comes in time, it is going to go in time. It's a rule. So the second thing is, now it is here. It was not there before. And the final test of anitya is, it will be there in future. Now it is not here. It will be there in future. Now it is not here means what? It is not timeless. If something is going to come to me in future, it is not with me in the present. It is also anitya. So this is how I analyze what is temporary in life. And what do we find if we really do this analysis? We find everything fits in here. All the experiences and all the people, all the objects, everything we've done in our life will fit into anitya. So the facts, I always call this the 4 facts in life. I think I did a video before, a pre-sannyas video on this, the 4 facts, but it's good to note this. Fact 1, there is no permanent object, permanent person, permanent situation in this world. This has to be seen. This is called Vivekā. When I recognize this, what happens to me? Expectation for things to last in my life drops off. My expectation for things to last, that is what's creating pain for me. I expect things to last, but they don't. And then I cry about it. Who is silly here? It is my thinking. If I expect things to last, I will feel disappointed. So people change, situations change, objects change. Nothing is permanent. Number 1 fact in life. Number 2 fact in life. Since everything I know in the world is subject to time, it can never give me lasting security or support. Second fact. And you have to, again, examine your own lives to see these facts. Looking for external sources for constant support, constant security, this is what we are doing all our life. When I assimilate, when I understand this fact, what happens? I stop. I maintain independence. I see that this world, I know now, world is subject to time. So it cannot give me lasting security or support because it's not capable of doing it. It's not built like that. Fact 3, if I expect permanent security and support from the impermanent world, I am headed definitely for disappointment and sorrow. Fact number 3, if I expect permanent security and support from this impermanent world, definitely I'm headed for sorrow and disappointment. So I can avoid disappointment by reducing expectation of the world to give me what it cannot give me, but what I expect it to give me. Permanent happiness can never come from impermanent, because I continue this desiring me, however many desires I fulfill, thinking I will be fully satisfied. It doesn't ever work like that. I will keep having desires to fulfill. So the problem actually is not in the world, although we blame the world. We blame people, we blame the world, we blame situations, but this is the bitter facts that Shastra reveals. It is not the world at fault, not people at fault, not situations or objects at the fault. It is my vision which is faulty. My mistake of projection, erroneous thinking that every time this world is going to give me what I want is what gets me into trouble every time. Every time I think it's going to be different. Let me try this. It's going to be different. I'll try this. It's going to be different. And every time I expect and it doesn't happen, I am disappointed because world is not built that way. It is made, this Ishvara Shrishti is made in a certain way where you will get disappointed if you hang on to it. Unfortunately, that is how Bhagwan's Shrishti is, because he wants you to look for him. He wants you to find him. That is the real goal of life. He will never give you fullness, satisfaction in external, because he wants you to look for him alone and discover that he and you are non-separate. So the third fact. What is the fourth fact? Fourth fact is, yet knowing the previous three facts, I know the world is impermanent. I know I can't rely on it for satisfaction and for permanent security. But the world should not be rejected as useless. It has a purpose. Fourth fact. I should not just get disappointed. Oh, this is a useless word. It's all world. It's anitya. It's no, reject it like that. No, it has a useful purpose. It is useful for your spiritual growth. If I discovered with knowledge, healthy relationships with objects and people in the world, I will not have wrong expectations from the impermanent. I can live very happily in this impermanent world without expectations, enjoying the impermanence of the world without getting bogged down by it, without getting affected by it. So these wrong expectations are called adhyasa in Sanskrit, superimposition of your own desires, your own wants onto the world and onto people. You're giving it more value than it deserves. It's called Shobana Adhyasa. You give the world more value than it actually merits. So you understand now, it is my own way of looking at the world, because limited can never give you limitless. And the urge for all of us is to be limitless. That is moksha. And this permanent is only revealed in the Upanishads, in the scriptures. All experiences you see like this, they're anitya. Securities, all pleasures, even the happiness you experience, movies, you're going holidays, anywhere, theater, everything is anitya. And the texts bring in with these two verses that even heaven going is anitya. Going to heaven is a holiday out. It is also anitya. Any position, any power you gain is anitya. We've seen umpteen people come and go. Everybody wants to hang on to the power and position, but does it last? Does money last? Nothing lasts. It will be disappoint. In fact, just the other day, I was just talking with someone, and they were saying, they're in a very big position in a big place, big company, and slowly that position is going, because age is creeping in, younger people are coming in, that position has been taken away, power is being taken away, even the office space is being taken away. And how is the person handling it? Is very, very difficult when you don't have spiritual knowledge to back you, to give you support. Losing something that you have, which is going to happen anyway, it is very difficult when you don't understand and you cling to that for permanency. It is not going to work. So the whole world is anitya. So somebody very beautifully said, I think Alan Watts is a very wonderful philosopher, British philosopher, whose vision, when he talks as well, very, very good. Sometimes you can listen. He says, I'm a stranger struggling and fearful in a world I never made. We're all strangers struggling and fearful in a world we never made. But what am I put here for? The world Lord has created, we say Ishvara has created this world and situations. There is a reason. It is not just some arbitrary reason we're put here. There is a reason. The Shastra scriptures point out that life is a school for us. The world is a school for us. It is a schooling system here. And there are many, many life lessons that we all learn, depending on our karmas. There are life lessons for each and every one, jiva, to learn. And if I learn and grow through the life experiences, I develop inner maturity, emotional maturity, and again, the qualification will come, the capacity to put up cheerfully with difficult situations. This is what the world is made for. It is a schooling ground. So I don't find the world as useless. I don't reject the world. This is fact number 4. I use the world for my own growth. So whenever any challenging thing happens to me, whenever anything unpleasant happens to me, I don't start blaming the world. My attitude as a spiritual aspirant should be, yes, what is the lesson? Bhagavan has given me a test. This world is a schooling ground. What is this test? How will I pass it? How will I get over it? And you will see yourself, all help will come your way if you resolve yourself like that to learn from your life. So this is anitya, but we don't know what is permanent. And this is where Shastra Pramana, we saw this word Pramana, which is a means of knowledge, comes into play. The Shastra, the Veda, the Upanishads reveals that there is a permanent entity thing here, and that is formless consciousness, Atma Brahman. And in these 2 verses, it is said here in the Tattvabodha verse, nityavastvekaṁ brahma, tadvyatiriktaṁ sarvamanityam. Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ, brahma satyaṁ jaganmithyetyevaṁrūpo viniścayaḥ. So both of the texts bring in this Brahman. They're introducing Brahman. What is this Brahman? This Brahman is the one permanent reality, the timeless Lord, God, Ishwara, the one infinite, limitless truth of everything, the eternal truth. And this Brahman is said to be free from spatial limitation. Desha aparichinnaha, it is said. Desha aparichinnaha means free from all spatial limitations, which means all pervasive. If it is free from spatial limitations, it is all pervasive, all pervading truth. It is also free from object limitations. It is called vastu aparichinnaha. It is free from object limitations, which means no object can block it from pervading. It pervades all the objects as well. It pervades in and through every object in this universe, insentient and sentient. So one should not get the wrong idea that only consciousness is in sentient objects. No, insentient as well as sentient. And we will see later in the text what gives sentiency to certain objects and what makes others insentient. That is important to see. It is not lack of consciousness. It is lack of something else, but it is not consciousness that it lacks. Consciousness has no object limitation. That's why we say, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om, Achyutaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha as well. All this, Sarvavyapine Namaha, all of this to explain it is all pervasive. And it is also time-wise limitless. Time-wise also, it has no obstruction, no limitation. It has no beginning. It has no end in time. It is eternally timeless. It is called Kala Aparichinnaha. The Shastra reveals Brahman like this. And we hear many, many texts, many, many Upanishads, which talk about this all-pervasiveness, limitlessness of this one truth. Isha vasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. Isha vasyam idagum sarvam. This Isha is another word for Brahman, pervades, it covers the whole universe. Yet kinchit jagatyam jagat. Every little nook and corner of this universe is pervaded by this all-pervasive consciousness. And we need to know this nitya. This is the nitya, the essential timeless thing that we need to know. This is what the purpose of us being on this planet, even though Alan Watts said we're a stranger on this planet, we did not create. There is a reason for us to be here. And once you realize why you're here, you will never feel like a foreigner, a stranger on this planet. So this is the once changeless. It's a changeless basis for this whole universe. Also, Adi Shankaracharya and other, his other commentaries will say the whole universe is a superimposition on this changeless truth. It is like a hologramic universe actually we live in. It looks real. It is as though real. You cannot give it a reality. You cannot say it's absolutely real, which is satyaṁ, because absolute reality, again, we will see the definition of absolute reality. Just to tell you quickly, absolute reality is characterized by being there in 3 periods of time. Trikalepi tishtati iti satyam. It is there in the past, present, and future. Absolute reality. Now we know it is anitya, so this universe cannot be absolutely real. Then can it be absolutely unreal? Am I dealing with, that's why, we never use the word illusion. Am I dealing with an illusion all the time in this world? It is not really, an illusion either, because I do experience things. I experience others. I experience objects. They all have name, form, and functions. Everything I experience has name, form, and function. But what is the truth when I do bit more vichara, when I investigate a bit more into this world? What do I find? Do the name, forms, and functions have a reality by themselves? Do they exist do they exist independently? When you look into any name and form and function, even with a little science, you will see it is not as solid as it looks, right? Anything you take, even our own bodies, what is so solid about our arms and legs? Everything is vibrating atoms. I'm sitting on vibrating atoms, actually. My scientist student said, we're actually not touching the chair. We're not actually touching anything. It is the electromagnetic force of the object repelling the, my skin. So my skin, the electromagnetic forces, when we think we're touching, we're not really touching. It is the forces touching each other. So nothing really is solid. I think it's solid because of my notion. I think I am this much alone because of notion. But if I do an analysis, even if I look a little bit, this world, you see, it is not absolutely real, and it is not absolutely false, because I can't say it doesn't exist. That is why our scriptures come up with a very beautiful word, an in-between reality that no other place comes up with, that is called anirvachaniya. It is asat satasatbhyam anirvachaniya. It is an in-between reality. What does it mean, in between? It means that it as though exists. As though exists, we will examine in a further class, but just to give you an introduction of the word mithya. Mithya means dependent existence, as though existence. We think it's real. That's the problem. When I look at something, I think it's absolutely real. But suddenly I find it's not there. Then I start questioning a little. Is it really absolutely real? Can things be absolutely real? They keep coming and going in life and they disappear. No, so they're not absolute real. So this is what is called Viveka into this. Tadvyatiriktaṁ sarvamanityam. Here in Tattvabodha it said everything else apart, everything else which is mithya is subject to coming and going. It is impermanent. It disappears with time. Kalo jagat bhakshakaha. The time is the devourer of this universe. Even our karma phalam is limited. So we have to do viveka into that. Our results of action will only last for a length of time, and they will also disappear. So this power to see this is called Viveka Shakti. This is with every human being. You've been blessed with it. It's a punya. It has got some, you have got some, earning from past life to get that, to be able to do this Viveka. And when you do it, it is like bringing knowledge into a darkly lit room. You light up what is already there. When you do more and more of this Viveka, you will see the world in a different light. Because this knowledge, as we know, nothing new is created with knowledge. It is only a discovery of what is already there. So self-knowledge removes the confusion here, the confusion of taking mithya to be satyam, taking what is dependently real to be absolutely real. This is the biggest confusion we make in life and the cause for all our dependencies and our sorrow in life. So until I discover this satyam, there is a qualification which comes later on. It's called shraddha. It's important. Until I discover this truth, a commitment pending discovery becomes crucial. Because Brahman cannot be scientifically verified. It is only the Shastra Pramana, means of knowledge, that talks about Brahman. So until I discover that truth for myself, Shraddha, a commitment to the words of Vedānta, over a length of time, the Shravanam becomes crucial. And this Viveka, when it's done, when I've seen now what is temporary and what is permanent, I've understood more and more, it should naturally progress unto the next value, which Adi Shankara, he says it progresses to the next one, which is Vairagya. Vairagya, what is it? What is the translation of Vairagya? We say actually dispassion, detachment, all this. Nothing comes close in English to Sanskrit words, I find. You need 100 million English words to explain the Sanskrit word. But you can understand Vairagya as seeing the absence of connection between what you have been doing in your life and what you really want. Such a beautiful description of Vairagya. This is given by Swami Dayananda. See the absence of connection between what you're doing in your life and what you really want. See, why does he say that? It's brilliant. Because you cannot force detachment. You cannot force dispassion. But when you see this absence of connection, it is a natural consequence. What is this seeing the absence? What am I doing in life? We have seen this. I'm looking for all securities in insecure. I'm looking for all happiness in that which cannot give me all happiness. And what do I really want? I want permanent happiness. What I'm doing and what I want really is not connected. I'm doing something which is not going to give me what I really want. When I see the absence of that connection, automatically I will become dispassionate to what I'm doing in my life. I will recognize dispassion because those things that interested me before will drop off. It is not I drop them off. Vairagya is nothing forced. Vairagya is not you getting rid of things. Those things, when you see that, they will automatically drop off. Like your need, I said, like your need for a balloon. When you were 3, you loved that balloon. You played with that balloon. You cried and you sobbed when it popped. But when I give it a balloon as a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, that you've grown out of that desire, that need has grown because you've seen the absence. The balloon is not going to give me the joy I want, so drop it. So here he says, virāgaḥ, in the Tattvabodha, he says, virāgaḥ kaḥ. So these are the RAQs I was talking about, the rarely asked questions. Then he says, ihasvargabhogeṣu icchārāhityam. Virāgaḥ kaḥ. Virāgaḥ is another word for Vairagya. What is this Vairagya? Then we'll see the meaning in the explanation. In Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ, 21st verse, Adi Shankaracharya says, tadvyatiriktaṁ jihasaya darshana shravanadibhihi dehadi brahma paryante anitya So the desire to give up all transient enjoyments through, the transient enjoyments gained through the senses, like seeing, hearing, etc. And also the desire to give up the experiences gained through living in a mortal body, living in this physical body, or even in the form of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is the highest, type of birth a jiva can get. So Brahmaji is the kind of a position, but jiva, an individual can achieve that through a lot of, tapas and all of that. So that is the highest form of birth. So seeing, that the giving up, he says, giving up the experiences of this physical body, not, craving for experience in this physical body or the form of Brahmaji, they are all transient, recognized as transient. And this is what he calls as dispassion. Adi Shankaracharya adds an extra verse to this, explain this verse. In the 22nd verse, he says, Virajya Vishaya Vrata Dosha Drishtya Muhur Muhuhu Swalakshe Nityavasta Swalakshaye Niyatavasta Manasashama Uchyate Swalakshe Niyatavasta Manasashama Uchyate. So this here, the first line is again connected to Vairagya. So we will see what he means here. He says, just give you the word explanation of it, having, developed dispassion from the chaos of sense objects and sense pleasures. Through what? He says, through observing the defects again and again. So we will see a list of defects that the Shastra gives, which is very interesting. You can, again, all this is to practice, to try as well. So he says that the tranquil state of mind, which is the next value, the tranquil state when it is able to rest in this contemplation of moksha, is gained after having again and again, taken yourself away from the sense pursuits, sense objects, by continuously observing their defects. That is very interesting. So virāgaḥ means dispassion, absence of passion, or I like to understand it as redirected passion, because we cannot have absence of passion. We are emotional people, but how do we channelize that passion? It diverts from the external world to the internal world. This is called diversion of passion, dispassion. Here, Adi Shankaracharya and the Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ uses a word, jihasa. Jihasa means, literally it means prepared. I'm translating it in English, prepared to be a loser, okay? Prepared to lose whatever is going to be lost one day or another. At any rate, it is going to go. So I say it, prepared to be a loser. We are actually all losers in life. Losers is not a very nice word, but in spiritual life, it is a nice word. I'm a loser. What's wrong with saying it? I am going to lose things. Yeah. Jihasa literally means that. So have this practical attitude, vairagya means, towards people and things. Dispassion, he says, from sense objects, pleasures of the senses. So pleasures of the senses, when I invest too much energy into sense pleasure, what do I find happening? Again, you have to test these things for yourself. I can't just tell you. One has to test. When you indulge in too much sense pleasure, in fact, your senses become dulled. You become dull, in fact. Your mind becomes dull, and their sharpness goes. This is the result of too much investment in sensual pleasures, sense pleasures in life. And when I do some tapas means I restrict my sense pleasures. I purposefully, with my free will, tapas, I restrict sense pleasures. What do I find? Tapas gives you shakti. Tapas gives you inner power. It gives you inner strength. That's why in our culture, we have days where we fast. We watch our tongue. We don't allow food that we enjoy to enter, because tapas, that is called tapaha. The ability to do this is a great, great strength in spiritual life. So I'm able to say no to my senses. I'm able to say no to the mind that follows the senses. It is not just the senses that are, we cannot blame the senses. They are pointed outwards. They will go out. It is my mind I rein in with my free will. No. When I want that extra bowl of ice cream, no, I stop it. When I want something extra and I don't, I am the one who has to use the free will, because sometimes I don't know whether you found, but I have personally found that there's an opposing thought. No, it's okay. It's only one bowl of ice cream. It's not going to hurt. I'll walk it off after. I'll jog it off. There's always this counter thought that tries to stop you doing tapas. It's really interesting. And sometimes we let that overpower this, but really it is a practice in spiritual life to be able to say no to your mind. Say no because you preserve Shakti. You preserve inner power that you can channel for something useful. So that is the usefulness of tapas. So I think we're nearly reaching the end of today's session. Vairagya, I'm not going to enter fully today. I've entered a little bit, but we will see next week what the meaning of Vairagya really means. So any questions again? You can message me. But think about this definition of Puja Swamiji's, seeing the absence of connection between what you're doing and what you want. That is a beautiful definition for dispassion. Okay. So Hari Om. We'll finish with closing prayers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaः, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. Namaste to all. Enjoy your week ahead. See you all next week. Hari Om.